So today, I want to share with you the message titled Covenant of Divorce. Covenant of Divorce. This covenant, you could find this covenant in Genesis chapter 15, verses 13 to 21. Okay? Genesis chapter 15, 13 to 21. And this is the covenant that God made with Abraham. Actually, this is not the only covenant that God made with Abraham. God actually established seven covenants with Abraham. And this happens to be the fourth covenant. Okay? Let's just only read from 13 to 16. Let's turn to Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 to 16. I'll read this one, but after this, please, we have verses help me to read them as well. Genesis 15, 13 to 16. Then he said to Abram, "Know certainly that your descendants will be strangers in the land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them 400 years. And also the nations whom they serve I will judge. Afterward they shall come out with great possessions. Now as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at a good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall return here, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete." Okay? So this is the content of the covenant of divorce. So again, there's seven. God established seven covenants actually with Abraham. Okay. The first one we talked about it yesterday is in Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 to 3. Right. That's when God called him out. Right. That's when God called him out from Haran and says, "Go to land I will show you. I will bless you, and you will be a great nation. Your name will be great. Those who curse you, I will curse them. Those who bless you, I will bless them." Right? So that's the first thing that God gave, the first promise that God made with Abraham. And then secondly, in Genesis 12 verse 7. Sorry, I think it's right here. This is, after he arrived to the land of Canaan, God said, "Okay, this land, I will give it to your descendants," right? That's the first promise of the land of Canaan. And then after that, in Genesis chapter 13, verse 15 to 18, this one, God again promised the land, but this one he added another thing. He promised him descendants. Okay? He promised descendants. So this is the first promise, and then this is the first promise about the land. And here also the land plus promise on the descendants. Okay, and the fourth. Again, this is the one we're going to be covering today, is in Genesis chapter 15, is the covenant of the torch. Okay. The fifth, Genesis 17, verses 9 through 14. Here, God established with them the covenant of circumcision, separating his people from the ungodly, right? Those who don't believe in him, he separated them, and those who, his people, they received the covenant of circumcision. Sixth, Genesis 18, verse 10. Again, this is in Genesis 16, remember, Ishmael was born, but then in 18, God promised Isaac, right? then lastly, Genesis 22, verse 15 to 18. This is after Abraham was able to cut off that relationship with his love for his son, Isaac, and then God promises, He confirmed all the covenants. God says, oh, now I know you fear me. And God reconfirmed all the covenants He made with Abraham. Okay? So He confirmed everything. So what is covenant? Let's talk about covenant first. Covenant. What is covenant? Covenant in Hebrew is berit. Okay, berit. And berit means to cut off or to break apart. Okay, to break apart. Why? Why is covenant something that you break apart? Because the reason is, in the ancient Near East, when they have to make an important promise, what they would do is, the parties making the promise, they would grab an animal, take an animal, and cut the animal in two, right? They cut the animal in two, and then both parties, whoever's in this agreement, they have to walk through the two pieces. They cut in two and they have to walk through the two pieces. Why? Because this is how important the promise is. Telling them, if any of them, either one of them, break the promise, then they will end up like the animal. Right? If they break the promise, they too will be torn and cut in two. So it's covenant, so then it's not just agreement, oh okay, I promise you I'll go see a movie with you tomorrow. Not that kind of, it's very, it's serious, right? Your life depends on it. So covenant again, it's very, very important. Let's go turn to Jeremiah, chapter 34, verse 18 to 20. Jeremiah, chapter 34, verse 18 to 20. Sorry, can someone? Yes, Jeremiah, chapter 34, verse 18 to 20.
I will give the men who have transgressed my covenant, who have not fulfilled the words of the covenant which they made before me. When they cut the calf in two and passed between its parts, the officials of Judah and the officials of Jerusalem, the court officers and the priests and all the people of the land who passed between the parts of the calf, I will give them into the hand of their enemies and into the hand of those who seek their life. And their dead bodies will be food for the birds of the sky and the beasts of the earth.
Thank you. And then, so here you can see, this time God was really angry with the people, right? They broke the covenant, and God says, okay, since you broke covenant, I'm going to send you, the enemies will come and they will tear you apart, right? And your bodies will be food for the birds. Okay, so again, it's very to cut apart. In Greek is diatheke. Sorry. And diatheke means to place in between two. Okay, dia is a prefix for two, and theke is to place or to set. Okay, diatheke. So a covenant is something where you put in between the two, okay? But also when you look at the New Testament, this word, diatheke, is used as a will, meaning like your last will or a person's last testament. Let's turn to Hebrews chapter 9, verse 16 to 17. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 16 to 17. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 16 to 17.
condition is there must be of necessity be the death of one who made it. For the covenant is valid only when men are dead, for it is never enforced while the one who made it lives.
Amen. Thank you. So we can see in this, in Hebrews chapter 9, 16, that's the word covenant, and that word is diatheke. Okay? And it's something like a man's last will, his will. Okay? And when we think about a will, it's given unilaterally, right? Like, let's say someone, like the father would give a will for his son, his last testament, his last will for his son. So it is, the children did not do anything, the dad just give it, right? It's a will. And then, so likewise, from here we can tell, from here we can see, God's covenant is unilateral. Okay? God's covenant is one-sided. Why? Because we are all fallen mankind. Okay? We're all sinners. How can fallen mankind make a covenant with God? God is holy. How can we do that? We cannot. So that means God himself has to give it to us. For the love of man, he came down and he gave that covenant to man. Okay? So it's a unilateral covenant. And all that, we can tell it's not only it's a unilateral, it's sovereign, right? Meaning nobody uses God's arms to give it to us. It's his will. He wanted to give it to us. Okay? So again, nobody forced it. In this world, when we have covenants, it's a mutual agreement. If you give something, let's say, we make a deal. Okay, I'm going to give you this, and you give me that. Just like today, Pastor David, you finish that, and I'll give you. Okay, that's an agreement. But again, God's covenant is unilateral, it's one-sided. Because why? Because the world's covenant may or may not be fulfilled. But God's covenant will definitely be fulfilled. So that's why the reason, from this word, we have to be thankful, because not only he gave it from his, from no one forced to do it. It's, we don't have to, we didn't really deserve it, but he just gave it to us. So we really have to be thankful. So the covenant, let's go back to the covenant torch. It is really one of the most important covenant that God made with his people. Why? Why is this covenant so important, the covenant torch? Because the content in the covenant, the purpose of this covenant, the covenant of the torch actually was given to confirm God's promise to Abraham. Okay? God promised to Abraham, and he confirmed this with the covenant of the torch. So what did God promise Abraham? What did God promise Abraham? Two things. Let's turn to Genesis chapter 15, verse 5 to 7. Genesis chapter 15, verse 5 to 7. Someone, please. Genesis 15, 5 to 7.
And he brought him outside and said, "Look towards the heaven and the numbers of the stars, if you are able to number them." Then he said to him, "So shall your offspring be." And he believed the Lord, and he counted it to him as righteousness.
Amen. Okay, so there's two promises. What are the two promises there? You see it? What are the two promises that God gave to Abraham? First is the descendants, right? The promise to the seed. And then the second is the land. Right? God made two promises. But let's look at this carefully. Let's go turn to verse 8. Can you read on, please? Verse 8.
But he said, "O God, how am I to know that I shall possess it?" He said to him, "Bring me a heifer 3 years old, the female goat 3 years old."
Just verse 8. Yeah. Okay. And then, so when we look at carefully here, when God promised him the descendants as much as the stars, Abraham believed right away. Amen. And God acknowledged him as righteous, right? Righteousness. But then when God says, "Okay, I'm going to give you this land," then he has a different response. How? how will I sure I will receive this land as inheritance? Right? So there's two different responses here. And then so God used this to confirm, this is how. This is how I'm going to do it. Okay? So it's a confirmation. So God gave this, the covenant torch, this covenant to show how Abraham and his descendants will inherit that land. So it's a connection. So that was that. And then here, 13 to 16, how God is going to give them that land. You know, how will that be promised? So what is that land that God promised? What is the land? The land that God promised. For Abraham. Canaan, right?
Canaan.
God promised Abraham Canaan. And what is the significance of these two promises? Remember, even in this day, God wants to recover what is lost, right? The Garden of Eden lost the sovereignty, lost the land, lost the people. And He wanted to recover all that. Okay? And then the land here is Canaan. And God made these two promises to Abraham, not just for the sake of Abraham only, right? But it's for the sake of fulfilling the history of redemption, God's history of redemption. And here, this confirms it. The covenant torch confirms that God will for sure fulfill His promise. So here, but for Abraham at that time, he needs to fulfill two things, right? The land and his people. So in Genesis chapter 15, verse 18 to 21, first here God says how He will do it. How to do it. But then after that, in 18:21, God even shows the boundary of this land. From this river to that river, all those places, this is going to be your land. God, He promises that, that Canaan, that is the land that I'm giving to your descendants. So, what kind of land is this? What kind of land is Canaan? Huh? Sorry? This land was something that God already promised here, right? When He entered the Canaan, God says, I will give you this land to your descendants. So it's the land where Abraham is at, where God already promised to give it to him. Okay? He was already there. And God wants to, by God saying, I want to restore that land, is actually telling us that one day that land will be taken away from Abraham. Right? God already promised here, but by promising, it's like that means restoring, He wants to restore all this. I mean, something must happen, and that land one day will be taken away, but then God will restore it back. So, what do we know about Canaan? What do you guys know about Canaan? Canaan, we heard is with the Israelites going through Egypt, Exodus. We know it's a land of milk and honey, right? Flowing with milk and honey. So it's a good land, right? It's a great land, a land of opportunity, abundance, right? Welfare, land of welfare. So that means people there, they will not be hungry. There's abundance of water and food. And it's a great land. It's almost like the Garden of Eden. Let's go see Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 7 through 10. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 7 to 10.
The Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks, of water, of fountains and springs flowing forth in valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land where you will eat food without scarcity, in which you will not lack anything, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you can dig copper. When you have eaten and are satisfied, you shall bless the Lord your God for the good land which He has given you.
Amen. So when you look at the description, wow, it's a great land, right? Water, food, iron, copper, everything you need is there. So when you go there, it's really a land of abundance. It's a great land. It's almost, when you think about it, when you don't even know, it's like, oh, maybe it's talking about the Garden of Eden, right? It's a beautiful place. Secondly, what is Canaan? It is the land that's given to the Israelites, right? It was the land given to the forefathers of Israel as an inheritance. So it belongs to them. God promised to give to the Israelites. Okay? So that means for the Israelites throughout history, in their mindset, this is our land. The land given to our forefathers. So wherever they are, their heart is always, oh, I want to go back. I have to go back to it. God gave it to us. This is our land. This is nobody else's land. Okay, that's a true home. So that means they really believe there's no law that can cancel out what God already promised them. Right? No matter what happens to them in their heart, that is their land. So we see throughout history, they were attacked and they were scattered. Where would they be? They were enslaved in Egypt for 430 years. And then later on, they got punished again and they were in Babylon for 70 years. But you see the heart of the people, no matter what happens, their heart is, they know, okay, we don't belong in Egypt. We don't belong in Babylon. We belong in our land that God gave it as inheritance for us. So that land is that important for the Israelites. It's like a stamp. The name Abraham is like stamped in that land. So that's why to them it belongs to us, because we're children of Abraham. Yeah, that's always in mind. And it's really amazing when you look at the history of Israel, of the Jews. They really have that mindset. They really have that heart. It's really amazing because we know at 70 AD, the Jerusalem, the city, they were all destroyed, right, by General Titus of Rome. They're destroyed and they're scattered to all over the place. And then later on, we know during the Holocaust, many people died. They were scattered even more. They didn't even have land. It's not till later, in 1948, that they returned and they declared independence. They get a piece of the land and they declare independence. But what's amazing is this, to me. 70 AD, they were destroyed. 1.1 million people died. Holocaust, 6 million people died. They're all scattered. They don't have their own land for many years, right? Almost 1900 years. But they still believe, they still kept God's promise. And what's even more amazing, they even kept their language. Right? The Hebrew language, they still be able to keep their language. And to me, that is really amazing. I think that's God's providence. Because why? In the US, the Chinese that were born in the US, we call them ABC. ABC stands for American Born Chinese. Okay, we call them ABC. And then the ABCs, the first generation ABC they're born there, okay, maybe they can understand Chinese, right? Maybe, okay, they're pretty good at it. But by the second generations, third generations, they lost that. They don't know Chinese, they don't care about the culture, right? If you say that they're Chinese, they get offended. No, we're American. The home is not China. No, our home is America, USA. Okay? And that's only after 2-3 generations. But here with them, it's really amazing, right? Many generations, they still kept everything. Because they believe it is an inheritance that was given to them by God. And they really held on to that. Remember in Egypt, later on we'll be talking about Egypt also, not me, but other pastors. And we can see throughout their lifetime in Egypt, their suffering in Egypt, in their mind they know, okay, this is not our home. We have to go back to our hometown. We have to go back to our country, and that is Canaan. And that's why for them it's such an important place. It's a good land, yes, it's a land of inheritance. It's the land that God promised them. So why Canaan? Out of all the places, why Canaan? Why did God promise Canaan? Why is God so caught up with Canaan? The first thing we have to ask is, then who is Canaan? Who is Canaan? We gotta think about this name. Remember, it's supposed to be a promised land, a blessed land. So who is Canaan? Who is this guy? And this man, Canaan, this name of Canaan, appeared in Genesis chapter 9. Right? Do you know who Canaan is?
One answer.
Yes, yes. Here Canaan is Ham's son. Ham was cursed. Remember the story? Ham was cursed. And God curses Canaan instead through Noah. Now God cursed Canaan, right? Through Noah's mouth. In Genesis chapter 9, verse 22, Ham saw the nakedness of his father, and he told his brothers outside. And then later on, when Noah woke up from his wife, from his sleep, that's in verse 24, 25, it says he knew what happened, and right there, he says, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants, he shall be to his brothers." Genesis chapter 9, verse 24, 25. It says, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants, he shall be to his brothers." Ham is the one that sinned. So why did Canaan? Why was he cursed? It was Ham, right? It wasn't Canaan. In Genesis chapter 10, verse 6, Genesis 10:6, it says Canaan was Ham's fourth son. And when Noah cursed Ham, he wasn't even born yet. So why him? What happened? What happened to, why did God curse him? And then after he got cursed, then he was born, after Genesis chapter 10, verse 6. What happened to this guy, Canaan? Was he cursed? Did he die right away? Or did he had problems and he died? Yeah, what happened to him? Well, we see in the Bible, no, actually he expanded, right? He expanded and he grew and he actually, became prosperous. Let's turn to Genesis chapter 10, verse 18 to 20. Genesis chapter 10, verse 18 to 20. You can see that actually he got bigger and he spread out.
The Canaanites and Jebusites and Amalekites. Afterwards, the land of Canaanites dispersed, and the territory of Canaanites extended from Sidon in the direction of Gezer as far as Gaza, and in the direction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, and as far as Lasha. These are the sons of Ham, by their clans, their language, their land, and their nations.
And then, so we see they actually grew, they expanded, and they conquered a lot of lands. Okay, they spread out, and wherever they go, their territories belong to them. Okay. And then, so God cursed them, but they actually expanded, and they grew, right? And they became more powerful. So so what happened? Why did God curse Canaan? The reason is Canaan is the result. Is the result and the fruit of Ham's sin for revealing his father's sin, for shame, right? Because of Ham's sin, and then revealed the father's shame, and then Canaan was cursed. So again, Noah did not directly curse Ham, but he cursed Noah for having Canaan for that sin. Why? Because nobody knew what's inside of Ham. Okay? Nobody knew that Canaan was inside of Ham. But God knew, right? And no one knew, what's wrong with Ham, and God cursed that thing that's wrong with Ham. So in other words, that's something that nobody knew. So Canaan represents something like a sin that nobody knew about. Only God knows. Right? The sin that you committed something, but it's inside of you, and then God cursed that. It's almost like He let it out. He wants to reveal that sin in you. So not only with Canaan, so Canaan is something there's something problem that's inside of Ham. But remember, Canaan is talking about the land. So it's almost the same thing. There's something there that God needs to resolve. There's a problem there that needs to be fixed. In not only just Canaan the person, but in the land. Okay, there's something that He needs to get rid of. So we know that there's something here, right? And then when the Israelites, they came out of Egypt, they went to the wilderness, this land was not an empty land, right? It was vacated already. It was not vacated. There's somebody in here, right? The tribe that they need to get rid of. We need to get rid of all these problems. And then actually at that time, they were occupied by the tribes of the Canaanites. 7 tribes of Canaanites. And so that means God is showing us, them at the time is, they need to go in there, conquer the land, get rid of those tribes. So who were the tribes? Who were the tribes of who were the Canaanites? Who were they? Again, they're the one who occupied the promised land. That land is supposed to be for the Israelites, but they occupied it. In God's eyes, they're the one that's ungodly. But today, more than thinking about them, we gotta ask ourselves more about thinking about them there 2,000 years ago. But think about us and who is the Canaan inside of us? There's something that we don't know, or maybe we know, but it's hidden in there. And God's telling us we have to get rid of that. Remember the whole point is the recovery, right? The sovereign, the land, the people. Sovereign, who rule over us? God will rule us. Who are we? We are the people. But we also have to take over the land, and we have to get rid of all those problems. And Jesus tells us something about this, right? Jesus says that we do have that problem inside of us. 7 little things that are inside of us. Let's turn to Matthew chapter 15, verse 19. Matthew chapter 15, verse 19.
For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornication, theft, false witness, slanders.
So those 7 things inside of us, those are things that defiled us, right? That's what inside our hearts. And so we have to ask ourselves, do we have those things? We do. We do have those things. It doesn't matter how pure we look on the outside, but we have those things, and we sometimes struggle with those things. When we think about murder, we know the Bible says even when you hate somebody, that's murder. Right? And adultery, when Jesus came, is no longer you have to commit that. Even when we think about it, that's already adultery. There's something inside of us that we need to get rid of. And then, so here, even though this is the land that God has chosen, but the tribes are in there, God says you have to get rid of it first. If you get rid of it, then it's the land, right? It's the promised land. Okay? We have to push them out, kick them out, and then when everything's done, then this land can become the holy land. God's land, God promised to them. Same thing with us. We're called saints, we're leaders, we're righteous in God's eyes. However, until that tribes, those promises are cast away from us, then we may not be righteous in God's eyes. We may not be true saints. So we may not become that holy land that God is looking for Him to dwell in us. So that's why here God named Canaan. He led the Israelites to Canaanites to take over that land, to push out all the problems that's in there. And it's really an irony because it's a promised land, it's a blessed land, but there's problems in here. So, again, today, that's why it is not just talking about them. In the history of redemption, it's not just the history of redeeming the Israelites, it's all mankind. So we have to figure out, again, who is possessing us right now? Who is taking over us? Is God? Is He ruling over us? Are we ruling over ourselves? We have to let Him. He has to rule over us and take over and possess us. Sometimes we forget about that and we let money rule over us. And so because that, then money becomes sovereign. But we have to, again, get rid of that. Or And we could learn something really important about here too. When you get rid of it, when you get rid of the problems, you don't just get rid of it a little bit or most of it, and you just leave this part. No, when you get rid of it, you have to get rid completely. Remember what happened to the Israelites? When they went there, they were fighting the major cities, the big cities, but a lot of them, the small ones, okay, they just left it behind here and there. But at the end, those small tribes, attacked them, right? And at the end, in the time of Judges, those small tribes actually oppress them and take over the land of Canaan and the people. So not just getting rid of a little bit, but everything. And when you get rid of everything, we have to maintain it, right? Keep it. Again, like the Garden of Eden, when God told Adam, hey, you gotta keep it, you have to cultivate it, make sure nothing goes in here. And when we look at the history of the Israelites during David's time, yeah, he was able to take over the whole land. But after David, the whole nations go on a decline, right? They go on a decline, they split from one nation to become northern Israel to southern Judah. They split, and later on, northern Israel destroyed in 722 BC, and southern Judah in 586 BC. Because, yeah, okay, you get rid of it, but you don't protect it, but so what? It's still going to come in, and later on will destroy them. Okay. In Luke, let's turn to Luke, chapter 11, verse 24, 25. Here, Luke chapter 11, Jesus is talking about the spirit, right? The evil spirit, the unclean spirit that goes out of the man. But what happened? But then the evil spirit came back and bring 7 more wicked spirits into that man. And the man became worse than before. So again, the Israelites, same thing, it's telling them that time they have to get rid of everything, but not only get rid of it, they have to really keep it. If not, they'll come in, right? If they leave one behind, and then that one will become a thorn to them. But at the same time, once it's clean, they have to maintain it. They have to keep it. Okay. So this is a land that's supposed to be a land of milk and honey, a land where the river flows. But the problem is, who is taking advantage of this land? We gotta ask, who is taking advantage of this land, right? At that time, there was already people living in there. But God says, no, I'm giving this to you, your land. You have to go and take it. You have to get it. Just like here, Sri Lanka, when I see this land, it's a great land. It's a land that to me is like flowing milk and honey. If this land is flowing milk and honey, it's really good. The problem is now you have to ask, then who's taking advantage of this good land? God's people need to take advantage of this good land. Just when I was walking around and I see even here in this Bible school, I see mango trees, avocado trees. It's so nice here. But again, who is taking advantage of this land? Again, God's people need to take advantage of this land. So what I'm trying to say is, it is parallel to the Garden of Eden. It's like the same story going back again, same story. Take over, right? God is recovering, go back, take over that land. Okay. You see the parallel between Garden of Eden and Canaan. Why? Both places are places that God blessed, right? It's a blessed land. They're both good lands. Okay. And not only that, it's a land that God promised. But what happened? Both places were taken over by the wrong people. God promised Canaan to Abraham, but But you know, was taken over by the Canaanites. Same thing here. God promised here. This land is supposed. God gave this land to Adam, but it was taken away. It was the wrong owner. The serpent came in and took over. Let's turn to Luke chapter 4, verse 6. Luke chapter 4, verse 6. Luke chapter 4, verse 6.
And he said to him, I will give you all the authority and splendor. It has been given to me, and I can give it to you, to anyone I want to.
And see, the devil, he took over the Garden of Eden. Because why? Adam lost his time. Instead of listening to God, he listened to the serpent. And because of that, he ruled over Adam. He ruled over the Garden of Eden. It was given to him. But again, it's the wrong owner. Right? It's the wrong owner. And that land needs to be taken back. If he instead of obeying to God, he obeyed to Satan, the devil. So that's why again Adam lost that sovereignty, the good land, the inheritance. And here God is reconfirming again, no, he's working. He's promising, right? He promises. No. Okay? That whole thing, everything will be restored. And God is using Abraham. I'm giving you this land. It's your land. For your people. Take it. And he confirmed it. Remember, God promised. With God promised, right? Remember I said, it will for sure be fulfilled. So when God says to Abraham, I will give you seed, I will give you this land. It's like promising again, it's like promising Adam, I will return that seed to you again. I will return that land to you that you lost. Abraham didn't ask for this, right? It's a unilateral. He didn't really ask for anything. He just obeyed. He just went. He didn't ask. And God said, okay, I'm going to give you this. Take it. Why? Because God wants to restore the Garden of Eden. God wants to restore everything that was lost. Sovereign land and people. He wants to restore all that. So he wants to restore the Garden of Eden. So for the sake of God's work of His redemption, He gave the covenant. We cannot do it. We cannot fulfill God's work on our own. He gave covenant, right? Linking that history, the history of redemption. Satan tried to cut that, that history of redemption, that work of God. Satan tried to cut. God linked it with the covenants. No, for sure, we will fulfill God. I promise. Not just any promise. He put his life on the line, right? Later we're going to talk about this. He's almost like saying, for sure I will do it. It's like almost putting his life on the line. So we're going to, let's take a break. And we're going to continue, we're going to talk about the content of the covenant. So we continue again. Let me just recap a bit, and then we're going to go into the covenant portion. Okay? Earlier I said again, there's two promises that God made in Genesis chapter 15, 5 to 7, regarding the land, first the seed, right? The descendants, and then the land. And God says, I promise you the seed, I promise you descendants. Right away, He said, Amen. Okay, right away, God says, okay, God acknowledge Him as righteous. Right? But then when God says, okay, I will give you this land. But there He kind of hesitated and said, how? How are you going to give me this land? So, and then that's why in verse 7, that's why God confirmed it with the covenant. So God wanted to recover this for them. Right? So when God says, I'll give you seed, right there, Abraham believed. So right there, he recovered God's sovereignty. Right? When he listens to the word of God, he moved from Ur, Chaldeans, he goes to Haran, he was able to even cut off that relationship with this animal. And he obeyed God's word. God was really happy. And now here, when God says that, he says, okay, yes, believe it. God saw that and says, okay, you're righteous. And so right there, you recovered this. And the people will be, Abraham and his descendants. Okay. So then God says, okay, you believe in me now. You are my people. I'm going to give you this land. This is your land. Now you have to take over it. By promising this land of Canaan, God is telling them you have to take over this. They fall, but now you have to come back and retrieve it. Same thing. When we look at the Garden of Eden, God said this was taken away. Right? God lost sovereign land people. So who must take over the Garden of Eden? This good land, this paradise that God prepared for us. Who? Adam's descendants. Us. Abraham's descendants. Us. We have to take over, go back, and take over what is lost. Remember, Satan took it away, but God, we have to restore it. And again, for who? To establish God's kingdom. That was lost, right? The kingdom that had God's sovereignty, sea and land. He's doing this work to recover his kingdom. And that's all part of the history of redemption. So you see there's a parallel between the Canaan and the Garden of Eden. We talked about it's given to his children, but right now it's the wrong owner. But we have to take over. We have to get it back. Okay? It's like God giving it to you, you go get it. So when he said how, God confirmed it with the covenant torch. Now let's see what is the covenant torch? What is in this promise, and how will he restore? How will he restore the land? Okay, so we're going to go to the covenant torch. Let's talk about the meaning first. Let's go to Genesis, chapter 15, verse 17. Genesis 15, 17.
It came about when the sun had set, that it was very dark, and behold, there appeared a smoking urn and a flaming torch which passed between these pieces.
So we call this common torch. You see that torch, right? The flaming torch that passed through the pieces. Here, the flaming torch passed through the pieces. What do we mean? That cut animal, right? The cut animal that was cut in half, and then the flaming torch passed between it. Okay. But what's amazing here is not just any torch; it's flaming torch. It's always burning. It's always burning, showing us that it's continuously burning. It's not something that's put out. And in Hebrew, it's lapid ash. Okay. And here, the ash here is talking continuity. It's continuously burning. So what does it mean? What does it show us? What is this it's telling us? This flaming torch that passed through the two pieces. First of all, the torch signifies God, right? Fire, light. It's pointing, it's signifying God. Okay. Let's turn to Isaiah chapter 10, verse 17. Isaiah chapter 10, verse 17.
And the light of Israel will become a fire, and his Holy One a flame, and it will burn and devour his thrones and his.
So again, the torch signifies God, the presence of God or God. And then here, it's not just a torch, but it's a flaming torch. And then, so what it's talking about is continuous. It's talking about the eternal God, right? The eternal promise of God. So what the first thing was teaching us that God's covenant, okay, is eternal covenant. It's always burning. No one can put it out. When we make promise, human beings make promise, sometimes we forget and we say, did I really make that promise? No, really? Did I really make that? We forget and we don't do it, right? But even if we remember, we may or may not do it. Right? If it gets too hard, we may or may not fulfill our promise. And then, especially, what if both parties makes a promise and then one party passed away? Then what happened? That whole covenant is breached, right? That's it. That covenant is, you cannot fulfill the covenant. But God's covenant is eternal covenant because He is eternal. He's eternal, and the covenant will for sure be fulfilled. He will always remember. And no matter how long it took, He will always remember. God remembered this morning. God promised Abraham a son, a seed, right? It took a long, long time for Abraham to have that promised seed. But God remembered, and He said it, and it was fulfilled. So that's why that's the second thing. The first thing is eternal. The second thing, it will be fulfilled. We cannot, we human beings, many times we cannot fulfill, but we know with God for sure it will be fulfilled. Thirdly, what is this flaming torch teaching us? Well, the one we just read, Genesis chapter 15, verse 17. Earlier I said, when we make an agreement, how many people have to walk through the pieces? Both parties, or however many parties, right? 2 people. But in this one, who walked through this piece? But only the flaming torch. But this covenant was for Abraham. Why didn't Abraham walk? Why didn't he also walk through the pieces? Right there, only God. Only God did it, right? Because remember earlier we read, God's covenant is unilateral, remember? And sovereign, right? No one have to force him to do it. So from this flaming torch passing through the 2 pieces, we see God's sovereign covenant. And unilateral covenant, right? Right there is what earlier I said. Remember I said, He is putting His life on the line. By walking through the pieces by Himself, right? He's saying, I will surely fulfill this covenant. If I don't, you can cut me into 2 pieces. That's what this covenant is showing us. So actually, it's a pretty awesome covenant. This thing. God confirmed, I will for sure give you this land, even though Abraham was supposed to walk also, but he did not. He just received that. Let's go to Isaiah 55. says here, God's word come out from his mouth. Whatever comes from his mouth will certainly be fulfilled. Right? Isaiah 55:11. Someone please.
So shall my word be that goes out of my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose, and shall succeed in the things for which I send it.
God's word, his covenant will definitely be fulfilled. Okay? Man may not, but God's word will definitely be fulfilled. So if you truly understand and you truly believe in that, how do you think the world will be in the future? How do you think the world will be in the future? How do we know what the world will be in the future? How? It will happen exactly what the Bible tells us. The Bible is the Word of God. We just read what he said, it will definitely be fulfilled. That's how we know, right? What he promised will definitely, it will happen. So the Bible contains all the answers. That's why we have to really deep into the Bible. We have to really search the Bible. Going back to Rev.Dr. 7, right? Remember the days of old, consider the years of all generations. Ask your father. But that asking is not just, hey, give me Coke. But asking is begging. Please let me know, That kind of asking. So it's like really digging into the Bible. It's all there. It's the Word of God. It for sure will be fulfilled. So that's why, and Dr. Abraham Hart, remember Dr. Simon talking about, he really read from cover to cover 1,800 times. Really dig into the Bible. He was someone who's deeply into it. So because of that, the grace of God was upon him. You see the illumination of the Holy Spirit, and he was able to receive this treasure. People, the things that people pass by, don't want to read the genealogy, don't want to care about the things that people, ignore. But because he was deeply into it, right, and he was able to discover things that only now that we too can receive it. So what I'm trying to say is, so when we read the History of Redemption series, it's almost like we reading the Bible 1,800 times. Because he put that last testament into those books. When he discovered what God gave him and received, he revealed it. So by reading that, it's almost like we're reading it 1,800 times. Even though we don't really put in the effort as much, but we receive that same treasure. So I pray again, may we all really put in all our effort as well and really dig into the Bible and really try to understand the Word of God. Amen? Okay. So now, let me erase this. Now I want to show you when was this covenant established. Okay? When was this covenant established? When was this established? Let me give you the answer first, and then I'll work on the problems. Okay, to show you how we got that, how we can get that number. Okay, so it was established when Abraham was 84 years old. And when he was 84 years old, this is 2082 BC. We know that Abraham, he left the Haran, he went to land of Canaan when he was 75, right? He went to land of Canaan when he was 75 years old. We also know earlier from Pastor David, how old when he had Ishmael? How old when he had Ishmael? 86, right? He was 86 years old when he had Ishmael. Okay. And then the Bible says 10 years. After 10 years, he dwelt in Lanka. Okay. That's when the incident of Sarah asking him to go into Hagar. Okay. So after 10 years, remember Pastor David was talking about it earlier. After 10 years, still no son, no children. But God promised that he will become a great nation. God promised him descendants, he will become a great nation. But after 10 years, still nothing. So that's why Sarah told him, why don't you take my maid, this Egyptian Hagar, why don't you go into her, and perhaps you can have children through my maidservant. And how did he answer? How did he answer? We know how he answered. Right? But actually, how should he have answered? He should have answered, you crazy woman! Don't you believe in God's word? God says through us, we will have descendants. Don't you believe? This reminds me of Job. When the wife says, hey, why don't you curse God? And Job said, you crazy? You foolish woman? Are we just going to take the good and not the bad? So he should have said, hey, you crazy woman, don't say such things. He will for sure give us descendants. But Sarah said, no, but it's been 10 years. Let's use this. Let's help fulfill God's word. You know, when we think about it, it's supposed to make sense. God promised. Let's help fulfill God's word. It makes perfect sense. Oh, we're doing God's work. Let's do it. Remember, hey, look at Abraham. We're already so old. Why don't you just go in with her and perhaps you can have children? Again, Pastor Dave was mentioning about how, who would reject that? A younger woman, right? And then, most guys would probably, okay. But anyway, so what did Abraham do? Did he follow God's word or follow Sarai's word? And then he followed Sarah's word, right? He probably said, oh, okay, I don't really want to. But since you said it, okay, I'll do it. But that's following again. That's following woman's word, man's word, and then at the end, and indeed, at the age of 86, he had Ishmael. Okay. Let's read verses. Okay. Let's go to Genesis chapter 16, verse 2. Genesis chapter 16, verses 2 to 3. Genesis chapter 16, verses 2 to 3.
And Sarai and Abram, behold, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go into my servant. It may be that I shall obtain children by her. And Abraham listened to the voice of Sarai. So Abraham had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan. Sarai, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian woman, her servant, and gave her to Abraham, her husband, as a wife.
Okay, and let's go turn, please, to Genesis chapter 16, verse 15 to 16. Genesis 16, verses 15 to 16.
And Hagar bore Abraham a son, and Abraham called the name of his son whom Hagar bore Ishmael. Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abraham.
So again, remember God promised Abraham that he will make him a great nation. He should have listened to the word of God instead of the word of man. And we earlier again, because we know what the problem is. Even until today, we because he did not listen, we have that problem, right? And then, so, remember, again, 10 years after, he says after 10 years. After 10 years, right? Sarah says, okay, go into Hagar. Right? At 85. And then he says, at 86, he had Ishmael. Okay? So, this was in Genesis chapter 16. And this incident again happened after 10 years. They were already in the land of Canaan. This is also Genesis chapter 16, right? And then we know after that, so before that, we know that's when he received the covenant of the torch, Genesis chapter 15. From there, we can find out that Abraham was 84 years old when he received the covenant torch. Okay? After he received, then 16 record, after all that, after 10 years, right, he slept with Hagar, and he had Ishmael at 86. Okay? So you guys, okay, so, but how do we get this? How do we know it's 2082 BC? Okay, now we're going to go through this. How do we know it's 2082 BC? It seems complicated, but it's actually really easy. If we through the calculations, if you understand the years in chronology, then the Bible it opens up. Just like yesterday, when we learned Genesis 5 genealogy, when we learned Genesis 11 genealogy, when we understand the years and the chronology, and then when the Bible opens up, it becomes interesting. It's not boring anymore, right? Even though it's just one page book, but it has a lot of information, right? And it's very interesting. So again, so we have to do again some calculations. We have to see how can we get 2082 BC. There are to do this, we have to find one date. We have to be sure of one date. Okay? From that one date, a period, then we can calculate, front and back. Okay? And then one date we want to use is the Exodus. There are two theories when the Exodus occurred. There's one theory that's around 1200 BC. And there's another one is 1446 BC. Okay? The liberal theologians will probably agree with 1200 BC. The more conservative theologians will agree with the 1446 BC. And not today, but on Thursday, I will explain why this is more in line with the Bible. Okay? This is more in line with the Bible. So today we're going to use 1446 BC, and then again on Thursday, I'll explain why this is more in line. Okay? So we use 1446 BC as the year of the Exodus. How do we find from this year? How do we find? So to do this, to find out this year, we have to find out when Abraham was born, right? To find this year, we have to find when Abraham's year was born. Because when we find when he was born, then we know that 84 is what is what year it is. Okay? So how can we find how old was Abraham? Okay? You know how to find it? Genesis 6. Genesis chapter 6 verse 11. Chapter 11. But that one ends with Abraham, right? From Shem to Abraham, which is good. Yes, in Genesis 11, then you could use that to go back, and you could use Genesis 5 to go back even more, right? But we try to find this one first. Okay, try to find this. So how? Do you guys know? If this is the Exodus, well, this is the Exodus, sorry. When did they come in? We have to find out when, because this Exodus is what? Exodus is when they left Egypt, right? When they left Egypt. So we have to find out when did they enter into Egypt, right? So when did they enter into Egypt? What did the Bible say? Sorry? Yeah. Oh, awesome. Okay. But before that, and then we can find Jacob. Then we have to find Isaac. Then from Isaac, then we can find Abraham. Okay, we'll just go back to that. Okay, let's turn to Exodus chapter 12, verse 40. Exodus chapter 12, verse 40.
Now the time that the sons of Israel lived in Egypt was 430 years.
So, right there, right? You have an answer. How long were they in Egypt? 130 years. Right? So what year? What BC is this? Sorry?
1776.
Almost. 1876. Okay, 1876. Almost very close. Okay, right? 4, 3, 7, 8, right? Yeah. 1876. That's when they enter Egypt. Now, how do we know how old is Jacob? From here, we can find how old Jacob is. You know what year he was born. What year he was born. Okay? By finding how old he entered into Egypt. Okay? Let's go find the verse. Let's go to Genesis chapter 47, verse 9. Genesis chapter 47, verse 9. Someone?
So Jacob said to Pharaoh, the years of my sojourning are 130, few and unpleasant have been the years of my life, nor have they again the years that my father lived during the days of their sojourn.
So he was talking to Pharaoh. He said, Pharaoh, I'm 130 years old. And he was here, right? They entered Egypt 130 years old. So right here we find, we add 130. So how old was Jacob? Let's see how old. What year was Jacob, right? What year was Jacob when he was born? We just add these two, right? So at 2006 BC, okay, this is not BC, okay, Jacob was born. Now, how can we find Isaac? How do you find Isaac? Find the verse, right? We gotta find the verse. How old was Isaac? Do you know? How old was Isaac when he had Jacob? Genesis chapter 25, verse 26. Genesis chapter 25, verse 26.
Afterwards,
Yes.
after his brothers came out with his hand holding Esau's stakes, so his name was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when he was.
Amen. But talk about Esau too, because remember, he married to Rebecca, 40 years, no children, and then wait for 20 years. Then God gave him Esau and Jacob, right? And so that time he was 60 years old already. So again, so we just add 60 here. See, it seems like hard, but it's easy, right? It's very, it's really easy. You just add 60 years to that, and what you get? BC 2066. You just add 60 to this. BC. Okay, and this one, come on. This one should be easy, right? How old was Abraham when he had Isaac? We read the verse earlier. Huh?
80.
How old was Abraham when he had Isaac? Isaac, the promised son. 100. He was 100 years old. Let's turn to Genesis chapter 21, verse 5. Genesis 21:5.
Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born.
Yes, 100 years old. So what year is what year?
He's also 100.
Okay, it's really easy to memorize. Also, we have a lot of 6 here. 2162, give us really simple numbers. 2166 BC, 2066 BC, 2006 BC, 1876 BC, 1446 BC. So if you have the sixes, it should be easy to remember, right? And please try to remember this. I might do a quiz of this, and then please have your Bible. You can use your Bible to help me explain this, okay? Okay, so we have this here. So how do we get this? How do we get that? This is when he was born, 2166 BC. So how can we get 2082 BC? Very simple, because we said he was 84 years old. Right? He was 84 years old when he received the covenant. So we go 2166 BC minus 84. So we get 2082 BC. Okay, right? So we just do subtraction. This is called subtract and addition, and then so that's the year where God established the common torch with Abraham. The reason why I want to show you this. Okay, there's a reason why. Is because the answer I'll give you the answer now is because it really took a long time for God to fulfill His covenant. But it doesn't matter how long it takes, God will definitely fulfill the covenant. Okay. So now let me erase this. I want to talk about the content. What's in the covenant torch? What did God promise? How is He going to recover the land? So remember, the covenant torch is to confirm that, for sure, Abraham asked how, and God says this is how. Okay, so it's a conclusion, right? It's already saying this is what's going to happen. So the reason why it's important again, because God wants to recover. Remember, He wants to recover His kingdom. Okay? So it's not just applying to them, but to Israelites, that's also to us. Okay. So the first thing, let's just turn. I want you to see it. Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 to 16. The land, please believe, this land of milk and honey, is also a promise for us. Okay, it's also for us. Okay, so we can see 4 things here. First thing God says is, they will be a stranger. In verse 13, they will be strangers, and they will be enslaved, and they will be oppressed for 100 years. Right? First, that's in the content. The first content is they will be enslaved, they will be oppressed for 100 years. And then the second content is they will come out with their possessions. God will punish them, and God will punish the nation that oppressed them, and they will come into tribulation. And verse 15. And then this is talking about Abraham, because this is the covenant that God gave to Abraham. You will live a good old life. You shall go in peace. You will go to your father in peace. You shall live a good old days, right? It's talking, okay, Abraham will live a long life. And then fourthly, God says, in the fourth generation. So first there's 400 years. And then let's talk about the fourth generation. They will return. For the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet complete. And then later on in 1821, God, remember I told you God shows the land, how big it is, where's the border, everything. Okay? So you can see 4 things, okay? And it says 400 years here, they will oppress. But earlier, we read, how many years were they in Egypt?
430.
430 years. There were actually 430 years in Egypt. So why did God say 400 years? That's God's promise. Remember what God says, it will be fulfilled, right? 400 years, then they will be oppressed. So why 400? Because the actual time that they stay there is 430 years. So what this is referring to, we read the scripture. This is the entire time they spent in Egypt. But the 400 years is not that, right? The 400 years is, how long they will suffer, right? How long will they be oppressed? Be strangers, right? They'll be enslaved. Be slave for 400 years. Let's turn to Acts chapter 7, verse 6. Acts chapter 7, verse 6.
But God spoke to this effect that his descendants would be aliens in a foreign land, and that they would be enslaved and mistreated for 400 years.
Again, it also matches with Genesis 15, 13 read, right? 15. They will be oppressed, they will be enslaved for 400 years. But this is talking about the entire time they spend. So there's a 30 years difference here.
30 years time of Joseph.
Yes. But let me explain it. Yes. The 30 years, again, is when Joseph was, he's the prime minister, he's second in command, right? And when he was still there, of course they were not oppressed. Okay. But when he lost that, right, then they were oppressed. Okay, then they become slaves, okay, and all that. And then remember, the reason why they entered here is because of the great famine. So the great famine, and the only food that's there is in Egypt. Why? Because of Joseph. He was able to understand Pharaoh's greed, and he prepared for it. Right? And he was in charge of all the storehouse, all the grains. So they had to go here, and Joseph took care of the family, and at that time they're okay. Right? 1876 they entered, okay, they're fine, Joseph's there. But after that, they forgot about Joseph, and then they were oppressed for 400 years. Okay? And then, so, what do you think? Is 400 years the same as fourth generation? Is this the same? Or 400 years? Or fourth generation? Is that the same? Okay. What do you think? Anybody? God said. God said, can we go back to Genesis, the common portion, 15, 13 to 16. God says, in the fourth generation, they will return, for the sins of the Amorites is not complete yet. So when God gave this covenant to Abraham, he was 84 years old. And God says, at that time, the sin of the Amorites is not completed yet. But in the fourth generation, it will be completed, and that's when he will return. So some people say it's the same, but that's not right. It's talking about the time, right? The time, how long it will take. But this is talking about the fourth generation. In the fourth generation, when this is completed, then they will return. So actually now I'll show you, but actually it seems like this is longer, right? 400 years. But actually later we'll see this is actually the broader here. This is going to be longer, okay, than the 400 years. So to say that they're the same, again, it is not right. So we have to follow, what God says. Okay. This is when he received the covenant. Okay. They entered Egypt Exodus is not set for 26. And then 40 years in the wilderness, right? They entered and they fought the Canaanites. Remember, God told them to get rid of all those tribes. They fought for 6 years, and then they have to separate the land, right? God's 60 years. So in 1390 BC, finally they were able to take over this land of Canaan. Okay. So when you look at these two, how long did it take for God to fulfill this covenant? Years. From the time God gave His covenant, the fourth generation will return. 692 years, they finally receive that, right? And then one of the pastors will explain this, okay, in connection with this. Okay. So again, so it's telling us no matter how long, Pastor David said this morning, no matter how long, no matter how many years have passed by, God's covenant will be fulfilled. It's there. Sometimes we don't understand. We don't understand what it's talking about, so we're like, oh, maybe God forget. He forgot about His covenant. It's not fulfilled. But if you truly understand what He's saying, no, everything that God said, everything is to the dot. Okay, everything what He said will be fulfilled. So again, to Abraham, God promised a seed, the restoration of descendants. But we have to understand, what is it for us today? Remember I said yesterday, we are the descendants of Abraham, right? Well, is this promise for the believers or the non-believers? Is it for the Jews only or for who? No, for Christians, right? For those who believe in Jesus Christ, those who believe in Jesus Christ will become descendants of Abraham. And God says it will be like as much as the stars. And right now we see that happening. Remember yesterday I said, even in China, it was unbelievable. I was so shocked when I found out. The communist country, 2014 survey, 140 million Christians. It's as much as the stars, it's growing. And no matter how long it will take, it will be fulfilled. Through God's people. So what I'm trying to say again, the covenant torch, I want to end with this. The covenant torch is not only about the Israelites. Not talking just about the Israelites suffering in Egypt, what's going to happen there. Not only that, okay, they will return into Canaan, the land that God promised, talk about the wilderness, everything. But it's really talking about us, it's really also talking about the coming of the Messiah. Okay? God promised that seed, right? So the emphasis is you know, the emphasis is why God put so much emphasis on this, and Abraham asked why, is to show that God will fulfill his promise. All the way, the promise that he promised in Genesis 3:15, the coming of the seed woman, right? And from there you see the seed going from generation to generation. And he will fulfill that promise. Okay? So I pray again, may all of us here, we really hold on to that promise, hold on to that covenant. What is that covenant to you? When you study about covenant, you say, oh, okay, whatever. It's the Israelites. Nothing, no, it has to be with you, right? But not just for you, okay, not only for you, but meaning like you receive this covenant, we know they receive great blessings, they will come at great possessions. Don't just think about the covenant for blessing, blessing, blessing. No. That's a greater purpose. You recover, right? For the coming of the Messiah, also to recover the God's kingdom, the sovereignty, the land, and the people. If you just think about prosperity, you know, think about, okay, God will bless me, everything. Because remember, God keep on saying, they left Egypt. The Israelites left Egypt. And God promised them, oh, I will take you to the land of milk and honey. And in their mind, it's always, oh yes, okay, let's get out of here. We want to go to the land of milk and honey. But in their mind, all they're thinking about is physical food. We want this, we want the blessing of milk and honey, milk and honey. But they went into the wilderness. They went to the wilderness, and there was no milk and honey. There's really nothing there, right? But here, God trained them to really trust in God only, right? He's the one to provide everything. The cloud, the fire, the food, the water, everything. And because of this, they grumbled. Hey, you promised me, what happened? You grumbled. And at the end, what happened? The first generations that entered into, that left Egypt, they all died. But two, who are the two who believed? Joshua and Caleb. Why? Because they are someone who understood the covenant. Right? It's not 15 yet. What happened? It's early. Give me 2 minutes, okay? Joshua and Caleb, right? God says, go. It's fast, right? It's not fair, okay? Win. God, you have to go inside the land of Canaan, right? And they believe. Everybody else complain, no, whatever, it's too hard. But they only believe in the covenant. Because they believe God is sovereign over them, right? They are the people. And they don't believe, and their heart is only in Canaan. Okay? That's why God is so pleased with them. He swore, he said, these two, Joshua and Caleb, will for sure enter into the land of Canaan, right? Everybody else, dead. Okay. So I pray again, we truly understand what is God trying to do. You know, yes, He will bless you so that you can do many works for Him. But we have to understand the purpose. May we be like Joshua and Caleb and have that kind of heart. Okay? And to for what? To restore that kingdom. And then lastly, have that faith, and I also pray that you can be actually stronger than Abraham. He believed in the seed, he said amen, but he questioned how. Now that you know the story, I pray may you, when God says, I give you the seed, I will gladly say amen. Okay, I believe. Not half-hearted, no. Okay, we're good. Just like Joshua and Caleb. So I pray that we all pastors have that kind of faith, and we all, whatever God said, we all only say